Now we are on the next life process, that is the important life process, that is respiration. This question can also be asked in 4 marks. Now first of all, what do you mean by respiration? So respiration is a life process in which you take oxygen, in which human body or animals take oxygen, they convert the simple molecules into the form of energy, then that energy has to be, and then that energy your body uses, correct? So respiration is a process in which you inhale oxygen, then that oxygen is used for the breakdown of the glucose and converts into the one form, is converted into energy, and that energy is to be used, correct? Now we are on the topic that is respiration in human beings. First of all, look at the organs related to the respiration. Now there is a nasal passage, then after there is pharynx, larynx, then you have trachea, then you have rings of cartilage, then bronchi, then bronchioles, and last alveoli, correct? This is called ribs. I will explain all the functions of all these organs, I will explain this, correct? So this is the main question, as well as this is the diagram for the respiration in human beings. Now when you respire, there is a very thin margin between respiration and breathing. In breathing you just inhale oxygen and you exhale carbon dioxide, while in respiration you inhale oxygen, then that oxygen is used for the breakdown of the glucose, and then after you exhale carbon dioxide, correct? So first of all, the air, that is, let us take that oxygen O2, first of all goes into this nasal passage, then as you know it enters through your nose. Now in your nose you have 2 nostrils, in the nostrils you have mucus and hairs which prevents from the dust particles. आपके अगर देखा हो आपके नोज के अंदर you have 2 nostrils, आपके पास 2 nostrils होते हैं, nostrils के अंदर you have mucus and hair, correct? So what is the function of this? So वो क्या करते हैं कि वो dust particles आपके body के अंदर entry ना करें, वो ये prevent करते हैं, correct? Now the oxygen rich air, let us take that oxygen rich air that enters into this pharynx. Now as you can see, this pharynx is a part in which the air, that is oxygen, the air which contains mostly oxygen and the food combine, correct? So pharynx is a part in which where the food as well as the air combines. Then from the pharynx the food enters into the esophagus, while the air, that is oxygen rich air, that enters into your larynx, and then after your trachea. For the separation part in your larynx you have, epiglottis, which separates the air and which separates the food. Then after from the air enters into this larynx. What is larynx? It is your vocal cord, then that air enters into this trachea. What is this trachea? It is your windpipe. This windpipe is surrounded with rings of cartilage. What does this do? They give support to this trachea, which is windpipe. अगर ये नहीं होते, रिंग्स ऑफ कार्टिलेज अगर नहीं होते, तो व्हाट वाज द प्रॉब्लम? क्या होती प्रॉब्लम? कि जो विंड पाइप है दे माइट कोलैप्स ना हो, इसकी वजह से रिंग्स ऑफ कार्टिलेज है जिससे उनको प्रिवेंशन मिलता है. देन आफ्टर दिस एयर एंटर्स इनटू दिस 2 पार्ट दैट इज कॉल्ड ब्रोंकाई. Then that bronchi ultimately divides into various parts that are called bronchioles, and at the last of every bronchiole you have alveolar sac, that is alveoli, and the shape of the alveoli is like bag-like structure. As the shape is bag-like structure, so it increases the surface area, and as a result it absorbs oxygen. It can absorb more oxygen, correct? So this is supported by ribs also, that is bone shape, that this is called lungs, and this shape is supported by these ribs. If you remove this lungs and this bronchi and this bronchiole, then there will be a cavity that is called thoracic cavity, correct? So this is all about respiration. When you take the oxygen, जब आप ऑक्सीजन लेते हैं तो वो सबसे पहले आपके नोज में एंट्री करेगा, नॉस्ट्रिल्स के थ्रू वो आपके फेरिंग्स में जाएगा. देन देयर इज अ सेपरेशन दैट इज प्रोवाइडेड बाय एपोग्लोटिस, करेक्ट? जो एपोग्लोटिस क्या करता है? फूड को आपके ओइसोफेगस के पार्ट में देता है और एयर को आपके फेरिंग्स, लैरिंग्स और ट्रैकिया के पार्ट में देता है. देन द एयर एंटर्स इनटू दिस लैरिंग्स, देन आफ्टर ट्रैकिया, देन आफ्टर ब्रोंकाई, ब्रोंकियल्स, एंड अल्टीमेटली टू द alveolar sac. Last, the alveoli, the shape of alveoli is like this, which is a bag-like structure, and as a result the surface area is more, correct? Now when in this alveoli there is oxygen, this alveoli is surrounded by, ये alveoli जो है surrounded होता है बहुत सारे blood vessels से, तो ये जो oxygen है this is exchanged with the blood vessels, then that oxygen is then entered into the blood vessel, and the carbon dioxide which is present in the blood vessels that comes back into this alveoli. So the oxygen goes into this blood vessel. Now that oxygen has to be transported to different cell for converting it into energy, taking the glucose and converting it into energy. For that you have a pigment that is called respiratory pigment, and that is nothing but your hemoglobin, which is present in WBC. This hemoglobin takes oxygen and give to different cells in which energy is required. Correct. Now we will talk how energy is formed. Done. Now you know oxygen, hemoglobin takes this oxygen and give it to the different cells, while in the digestion process the simple molecules which has been converted like carbon dioxide carbohydrates are converted into glucose, amino acids and fatty acid or glycerol. They have been put into the different cells. Correct. And now the oxygen are also reached in the different cell via hemoglobin. Correct. So now the energy formation starts. Now how does it start? So there is a process. First of all, the glucose which is present in the cell, that is 6 carbon molecule, is then diffused in the cytoplasm into 3 carbon molecule, that is called pyruvate. Then this glucose is requires oxygen, and there are three process. So mainly respiration is divided into 2 categories. First is aerobic respiration and the other one is anaerobic respiration. What is aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration, that means a respiration in which you require oxygen, that is called aerobic respiration, while the respiration in which the oxygen is not required or there is absence of oxygen, then that respiration is called anaerobic respiration. Correct. So let us talk about first of all anaerobic respiration, that occurs in yeast. So in the absence of oxygen, this glucose is directly converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. This yeast uses this energy, and this ethanol is nothing but your alcohol which is used for the drinks. Correct. Now in human beings there is a presence of oxygen, there is no absence of oxygen. Your body requires oxygen. So there are two processes, that is one lack of oxygen and the other one is presence of oxygen. First of all, let us talk about this presence of oxygen. This process occurs in mitochondria. In the presence of oxygen, this glucose is directly converted into energy, and as a byproduct carbon dioxide and water is the byproduct. Correct. So energy is obtained. While when there is a lack of oxygen, that occurs in our muscle cells, at that time your body releases lactic acid and energy. अब ये lack of oxygen कब होता है? For example, if a human being is resting for 2 or 3 months and then after one day, in one day he starts some physical activity, so his muscles require lot of oxygen. If his body is not able to supply that amount of oxygen, then at that time that muscle will release some amount of lactic acid. Because of this lactic acid, the problem rises in the muscles. Correct. So the pain which rises in your muscle is because of this lactic acid. But when sufficient amount of oxygen is available, then it is directly converted into energy, carbon dioxide and water. Then lactic acid will not be released. Correct. The amount of energy which is more is in this presence of oxygen, while it is less in here, while it is less here. Correct. So the amount of energy in the presence of oxygen is more, while it is less here and it is less here. This respiration is called anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration, while these two processes are called aerobic respiration. Correct. Now this energy which we have obtained, this energy has to be stored. So now this energy is stored in the form of a bond. See how your body has ADP and P, that is your body has adenosine diphosphate. ADP stands for adenosine diphosphate, and plus P, you have phosphorus also. So your body has two materials, that is ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate, and phosphorus, that is only phosphorus. Correct. So this energy which we have obtained in this energy is stored in the form of bond between this ADP and P. So this forms a bond, ADP and P, this forms a bond and becomes ATP, which is your adenosine triphosphate. Correct. So ADP and P mixes with each other, and that energy which we have obtained, that energy is stored in the form of a bond between these two, and as a result ATP is formed. Now when you require energy, this ATP, ये ATP को ब्रेक किया जाएगा और ये ATP वापस ADP और P में सेपरेट हो जाएंगे, ये बॉन्ड फिर हो जाएगा. दिस बॉन्ड इज नथिंग बट योर एनर्जी. देन दैट एनर्जी इज अगेन यूज्ड बाय द बॉडी. If again your body produces energy, then that energy is again stored in the form of the bond between ADP and P, then again ATP is formed. correct? In this way energy is formed in your body, and the energy is transported to different that energy is used by different cells, correct? So let us sum up all this. First of all, क्या होता है रेस्पिरेशन में? सबसे पहले जो ऑक्सीजन रिच एयर है वो सबसे पहले नेसल पैसेज के थ्रू फेरिंग्स, लैरिंग्स, ट्रेकिया से होते हुए ब्रोंकाई, ब्रोंकियल्स, एंड देन आफ्टर इट डायरेक्टली गोस इनटू दिस एल्वियोली विच इज अ बैग लाइक स्ट्रक्चर, ठीक है, जिससे सरफेस एरिया बढ़ जाएगा. इट एब्जॉर्ब्स ऑक्सीजन. इसके सराउंडेड में ब्लड वेसल्स होते हैं. दिस ऑक्सीजन इज ट्रांसपोर्टेड टू द दैट ब्लड वेसल. वो ब्लड वेसल में हेमोग्लोबिन नाम का एक रेस्पिरेटरी पिगमेंट होता है जो आरबीसी में होता है. वो ऑक्सीजन उसको कहाँ ले जाता है? अलग अलग सेल में. जब अलग अलग सेल में ले जाता है उधर पहले से ग्लूकोज प्रेजेंट है बिकॉज ऑफ डाइजेशन, ठीक है. सबसे पहले वो पायरोवेट में कन्वर्ट होगा डिफ्यूजन प्रोसेस से. देन दैट पायरोवेट इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू एनर्जी. दो टाइप्स के रेस्पिरेशन है हमारे पास, एरोबिक रेस्पिरेशन एंड एनएरोबिक रेस्पिरेशन. एरोबिक दैट मीन्स प्रेजेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन, एनएरोबिक यानी एब्सेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. इट ऑकर्स इन ईस्ट. The byproducts are ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy is produced. This ethanol is nothing but your alcoholic drink. Now, presence of oxygen, this happens in mitochondria. Carbon dioxide, water, and energy is liberated. Lack of oxygen occurs in muscles when your muscles are your muscles are not working regularly. And if you work in one day, then your muscles releases this lactic acid, correct? अगर आपने बहुत दिनों से कोई वर्क नहीं किया हुआ है और अचानक आपने कोई मसल को आपने वर्क कराना स्टार्ट कर दिया, तो दैट मसल विल रिलीज लैक्टिक एसिड, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस लैक्टिक एसिड पेन वगैरह स्टार्ट हो जाता है, करेक्ट? नाउ दिस एनर्जी विच इज ऑब्टेन्ड हियर इज स्टोर्ड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ बॉन्ड बिटवीन एडीपी एंड पी. एडीपी एडिनोसिन डाइफॉस्फेट वो आपकी बॉडी में प्रेजेंट रहता है. देन यू हैव फॉस्फोरस. जो एनर्जी बनी है वो एनर्जी स्टोर होती है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ अ बॉन्ड and it becomes ATP. So when a body requires ATP, this ATP is ये ATP को ब्रेक करेंगे और वापस ADP और P मिलेगा और ये बॉन्ड मिलेगा. दैट इज नथिंग बट योर एनर्जी. वो एनर्जी आपकी बॉडी के सेल्स यूज करेंगे, करेक्ट? फिर अगर वापस एनर्जी चाहिए तो वापस स्टोर होगी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ बॉन्ड, वापस ATP मिलेगा एंड द प्रोसेस goes on, correct? So this is all about respiration in human beings. Okay, now look at the next topic. This question is also asked in 3 marks, that is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, correct? So we have talked about this aerobic and anaerobic respiration in human beings. Now let us talk about the difference between. You know what is aerobic respiration? It is the process of breakdown of food in the presence of oxygen, correct? So you need to remember, in aerobic respiration you require oxygen, while anaerobic respiration means it is the process of breakdown of food in the absence of oxygen. That means in aerobic respiration you require oxygen, while in anaerobic respiration you don't require oxygen, correct? Now next point is it produces large amount of energy. I have talked about this. Okay, in aerobic respiration the amount of energy is large, while in anaerobic respiration it produces small amount of energy, correct? Compared to this aerobic respiration, this anaerobic respiration produces very less amount of energy, correct? Now aerobic respiration, it occurs mainly in plants, animals, and as in human beings as well, correct? So it occurs mainly in plants and animals, while this anaerobic respiration occurs in yeast, bacteria, correct? You are given example also, this yeast produces this ethanol, correct? So these are the 3 points which you need to remember in the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. This question is of 3 marks, so you need to write 3 points, correct? So the first point is the process in which you require oxygen, that is called aerobic. The process in which you don't require the oxygen, that is called anaerobic. This produces large amount of energy, while this produces less amount of energy. It occurs in plants and animals, while this occurs in yeast and bacteria or etc, correct? Now we are on the next topic, that is respiration in plants. This is again a question of can be asked in 2 marks or 3 marks. So first of all, for respiration in plants, I need to tell that in plants there are 2 processes. One is photosynthesis, which stands for P, and the other one is respiration. Now you need to remember, photosynthesis is a process in which you take carbon dioxide while you give oxygen as a byproduct, correct? While in respiration, as you have studied the reaction, as you have studied this process, so in respiration you take oxygen, while as a byproduct there is carbon dioxide, correct? So they both are reciprocal of each other. Okay, in photosynthesis you take carbon dioxide while you give oxygen as a byproduct, while in respiration you take oxygen and carbon dioxide as a byproduct, correct? So I have drawn the 2 figures, that is in daytime and in the night time. As you know, in the daytime there is a lot of sunlight, so your plants perform mainly photosynthesis. So I have drawn P bigger and respiration as smaller. correct? So in the daytime your plant perform mostly it perform photosynthesis and very बहुत ही कम वो perform क्या करता है, respiration. तो photosynthesis perform करेगा तो वो carbon dioxide लेगा and oxygen will be as a byproduct. So this oxygen can be used by us, correct? While in the night time what happens is, as there is no sunlight, so what does the plant do? The respiration is the main process while photosynthesis is the less process, correct? So at the night time in the respiration they take oxygen and they give carbon dioxide a byproduct, correct? In the daytime, correct? So what is this? This in daytime photosynthesis is the main process while in the night time respiration is the most process, correct? In daytime carbon dioxide is taken and oxygen is a byproduct, while in the night time oxygen is the byproduct, oxygen is taken and carbon dioxide is the byproduct, correct? So on the basis of this one question can be asked for the reason like why it is not advised to sit, stand or sleep under a tree at night. कि क्यों भाई एडवाइज नहीं किया जाता है बैठना, खड़े होना या फिर सोना ट्री के नीचे रात को. जैसे मैंने बताया in night time what happens is the respiration is the main process, correct? So they take oxygen from the atmosphere and they give byproduct as a carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide we cannot inhale carbon dioxide, correct? So it is advised that we should not sit or sleep or stand under the tree at the night time, correct? So this is the answer. See the answer. At night time respiration is the main process and so trees take oxygen, correct? रात के टाइम क्या होता है, respiration सबसे main process होता है, photosynthesis होता नहीं है. क्यों? क्योंकि अपने पास sunlight नहीं होती है, plant doesn't have sunlight. दिन के टाइम sunlight ज्यादा होती है तो photosynthesis करता है, respiration नहीं करता. जबकि रात में sunlight नहीं होता, that's why it perform respiration. It doesn't mostly it perform respiration, correct? So at night time respiration is the main process and so trees take oxygen from the atmosphere and exhale carbon dioxide, correct? On the basis of this, if you sit, stand or sleep under the tree at night, अगर यही देखो, if you sit, stand or sleep under the tree at night, you will not get oxygen, correct? Right here oxygen, you will not get oxygen, you will get carbon dioxide. So if you get carbon dioxide, that can cause breathing problems, suffocation, etc. Correct? So it is advised so not to sit, stand or sleep under a tree at night. Correct? This is respiration in plants.